Well, yes, tomorrow is Veterans Day, and I want to just take a moment to acknowledge those of you that are veterans. If you are a veteran, would you please stand? Let's acknowledge. Thank you. Oh, God bless you. Thank you for your service. Thank you. Thank you. I so appreciate that. And I salute you, my friend. God bless you. Thank you. Well, I recall 3 questions that accompanied me throughout my childhood. The first was, were you born in a barn? And that usually meant that I left the front door open or I didn't clean up my room. The second was from my brother, because I would always pull some kind of a prank, and he would say, will you ever grow up? So that was the second question. But the third was, have you forgotten something? And that was the parental reprimand after not saying thank you if I received some kind of a gift, which is what I thought when I read the story of Jesus healing the 10 lepers. Only one comes back to give thanks. 10 were healed, but only the Samaritan came back. The rest were just mindless. And if my mother had been there, she would have said to the 9, did you forget something? Psychologists say that human beings have an amazing capacity for something called mindlessness. Mindlessness. How many of you have been driving down the road and then all of a sudden wonder how you got there? Anyone? Look around at all the mindless people we have here today. And then how about maybe you've been reading a book and you get to the bottom of the page and you go, what did I just read? How many of you have ever been listening to one of my sermons? I'm taking names here. We have an amazing capacity for mindlessness. And we can go through life clueless as to what really matters to us most. At any given time, we are either mindful to the present moment or we're mindless. It's a busy world. I think all of us would agree. Things here and there are always catching our attention, and we tend to get off track. Why? Because so often we're thinking about something that might happen maybe in the future or something that's happened in the past. We allow past problems or future concerns to dominate our present moments. So much so that some of us end up maybe feeling a little anxious or frustrated or depressed or hopeless. We have one foot in the past and one foot in the future, and we can easily miss the present moment. In fact, most of the time, we have forgotten all about the present moment. So why am I talking about mindfulness today? For several reasons. Reason number 1, this is the time of year that I start getting calls from people who are dreading Thanksgiving dinner because there's some old triggers. Reason number 2, because mindfulness has so many great benefits, and we're going to go through them today during this lesson. So here is one of the benefits. Mindfulness opens your heart and your mind to a world that's unfolding right before you in its most spectacular way with absolutely no judgment. How great is that? How freeing is that? Therefore, let's look at the definition of mindfulness. It's self-remembering, remembering the divinity of who you are. It's self-remembering. It's aware presence. It's an awakened state. These terms are referring to an altered consciousness. If you practice mindfulness, it is considered by some to be a natural high. A natural high, and I'm sure we can all agree, especially those who grew up in the 60s and 70s, we like the natural high. And so let's just talk about the science of being mindful, of being present. Paying attention is being present. And it's a skill like any other skill. The more you practice it, the better you get at it. So you know when someone is present in your life because they're paying attention to you. And you know when they're not present because they're not paying attention to you. So what is the significance to that? Well, there is a divine intelligence, God, that is constantly giving you life. And this life presence is present right now. And many people don't take the time to remember, they forget. They don't take the time to connect to God by being in this present moment. So if where you place your attention is where you place your energy, and all your attention is in this present moment, what I like to call the present moment is the holy now. If you are really connected to the holy now, there is an unbelievable amount of energy that is available for you. Now think about this. When we talk about being present, I'm saying that once you fall into the generous moment, the holy now, according to the quantum model of reality, all possibilities, everything that you could possibly need and want already exists in the eternal now. And so what you're doing is you're becoming, when you're aware of the eternal now, all of a sudden you're a vibrational match to the holy now. You experience the reverence of the holy now. And that is how you experience a natural high. So stay with me. Most people wake up in the morning and they come to their senses, and their brain is a record of the past. The brain contains circuits of everything you have learned up until this moment. So let's take Thanksgiving for a moment. For those of you who are dreading the holidays, or you can use this for any day for that matter. Most people turn on those circuits of the past. So let's say maybe one or two of you, you might wake up on Thanksgiving Day and you go, oh, last year Aunt Ethel got so drunk at Thanksgiving, she began yelling at everybody. Oh, Dad is so politically opinionated, I certainly hope he keeps his opinions to himself. I really hope that my cousin doesn't bring that banana-infused Jell-O mold again, because nobody likes it. I'm so disappointed that the kids are not going to make it again this year. Now, all those circuits are connected to emotions. And if how you think and how you feel creates your state of being, you've just created the familiar past to be your now predictable future. Are you following me? And this is why I get so many calls from people needing counseling around Thanksgiving, or Christmas too, for that matter. They go back to the past and they recreate their future for that particular day. So what I'm saying here today is that our unity principle is where you place your attention, is where you place your energy, period. That's just the way it is. And you will create more of whatever your attention and energy, wherever it's been placed. So the other thing, the stronger you place your attention on a person or a circumstance in your life, you are literally giving your power away. Right? Because they're capturing your attention. So here's the deal. We have to be here in the mindful present, in the holy now. And to not be mindless and recreate the unconscious choice over and over again, different year, same experience. If you lower the volume of any judgments that you may have and be mindful to the generous, the holy now, then what starts to happen is you take your power back. Now, some of you may say right now that, and Well, let me just say this. I might just push a few buttons here with what I'm about to say, and that is there are some people that are addicted to those stories. Have you noticed that? And some of you might say, but this has been going on now for the last 20 years, and now you're telling me that it can be all different? And what I'm saying is the circumstance may not be different, but you can be different in the circumstance. No longer will you allow your outer environment to control how you think and feel. So be present, be mindful to the holy now. The great Tibetan Buddhist teacher Pema Chodron, I'm not real good with pronouncing names. It's Chodron, right? Chodron. She describes it as this: letting the world speak for itself. I love that. Tune in. The world has a full array of right now holy experiences. Holy now experiences. The squawking crow, the breeze on your face, the sound of a child's laughter, the sight of young couples in love, the colors and the textures. I mean, everything is all here for your present enjoyment. Let the world speak for itself. Now, another benefit is that mindfulness takes you outside of yourself, especially if you're depressed. You see, most people are always self-focused. So, mindfulness helps you to open up your awareness to the world around you instead of always being preoccupied with the stories or the concerns or the worries or the apprehension of fear. Basically being alone in your head without adult supervision. So here's another benefit for mindfulness. It turns a boring activity into an adventure. It's putting your whole self into whatever it is that you're doing. There are times I love coming here because, especially when the last time we did our healing service, and all of you were just in it. Your whole self was in it. And the energy in here was like it took me several days because we were all in it. We were all present to the holy moment. It's putting your whole self into whatever it is that you are doing. Whether you're cooking a meal or putting away dishes or raking the leaves, it's an intentional engagement with what is happening in the present moment that generates a present alertness. And there's no boredom, there's no dullness. It's being so present. If you are ever bored, it just means that you're not fully engaged in your moment. Reverend Steve Goodyear sums up the joy of practicing mindfulness in his motto, where he says, whatever or wherever you are, be there. If you can be fully present now, you'll know what it means to be alive. Be present in the holy now. We can learn to get lost in whatever it is that we're doing. As the Zen master said, if it's washing dishes, get lost in the moment of washing dishes. If it's walking, get lost in the moment of walking. If it's listening to great music, get lost in listening to music. If it's eating a sandwich, get lost in eating a sandwich with mindfulness, alertness, and awareness. I love that. He goes on to say, if doing a task can teach us to live in the here and now, to savor the immediate experience with thanksgiving, then that experience can connect us with the grace of God. That's what's happening. When you're in the holy now, you're connected with the grace of God, and that grace of God is present right here. It's present for you right now. But most of all, mindfulness brings gratitude to the moment. It makes you appreciate all that is around you, and you will see that it's just not another moment in your life. It's the one moment that has been gifted to you. This one moment has been gifted to you. And the only fitting response is gratefulness in this holy now. Be mindful to it. I heard a great story about two bricklayers who were approached by a reporter. And these two bricklayers were building a cathedral. And the reporter asked the first worker, "How do you like your job?" And his response was to complain that he was virtually an underpaid slave that wasn't making enough to pay for the things that he wanted, and he was wasting his time just placing one brick after another. And every day this bricklayer would just think about being dissatisfied and bored in his job. He entertained too many stories in his head. The reporter asked the second bricklayer the same question. However, his response was quite different. He said, "I am the luckiest man alive. I get to be an important part of this beautiful process of this beautiful architecture that we are building. I get to be outside in the fresh air and the sunshine, and I turn simple pieces of brick into exquisite masterpieces." And the truth is, they were both right for them. And we see in life what we want to see in our present moment. If you search for ugliness in your holy now, let me tell you, you will find plenty of it. But the opposite is also true. You can look for the extraordinary in the ordinary. The bricklayer sees a cathedral within pieces of brick in his present moment. The question is, can you? Or have you forgotten something? Can you see the extraordinary synchronicity that really exists in this world? Can you see the perfection of the universe in action? Can you see the extraordinary beauty that is constantly surrounding you? Can you see the incredible miracle of human life? And all of that exists in the holy now moment. And it's about being mindful to your moment. When I was growing up, my brother and I would spend our summers with my grandparents, and my grandfather taught us how to make really good tomato sandwiches. Anyone here like tomato sandwiches? Oh, good. Well, I want you to just take a little trip with me today and be in the present moment for just a moment. I want to invite us to consider the experience of eating a really good tomato sandwich as an experience of awe and wonder and paying attention to the present holy now. But to reach the level of tomato sandwich awe and wonder, you have to start with a plump, ripe red tomato, not too many days from the vine. And it's best to get one of those large ones that kind of just, they fit in the palm of your hand so that one slice will cover one piece of bread. You know what I'm talking about? And it has to be really sweet and juicy. You've got to have 2 slices of really good sourdough bread, maybe the kind from San Francisco. Really good, and preferably toasted. And then you take a knife, right? You smear on a glob of mayonnaise on both sides of the bread. You cut a slice of tomato, maybe 2, and you place it carefully on the bottom piece of the bread. Add a little bit of salt, pepper. I like to put a little bit of curry on that as well. And then you take the top piece of the bread, you put it over like that. Take the sandwich in your hands, move over the kitchen sink. And you got to lean over because it's going to drip, right? And as I take my first bite, oh, my words are, I'm living in the present moment. I love this so much. Thank you, God. And then I get lost. I'm in the present moment of eating that delicious sandwich. Really good tomato sandwiches, I believe, can connect us to God. Oh, taste and see that the Lord is good, says the psalmist. You see, in an ordinary bite from a sandwich can become an extraordinary event. Just ask any foodie in here. And if we're open, maybe we can increase the tomato sandwich moments in our lives. And we can turn an ordinary experience into an event, into an encounter with God's goodness. All of these moments point us to one great spiritual principle. One great spiritual principle. Live in the present moment, the holy now, and be in a state of gratefulness for even the smallest of God's glories. It sounds so simple, but it is so very profound and a most magnificent, prosperous way to live. God is to be found in the present moment, in the here, in the now. Let's just take this now into a deeper level of tomato sandwich consciousness. And if you will, just realize that in this moment, in this holy now, is everything that you could possibly want and need because it already exists. All the love that you want and need already exists. All the peace that you could ever possibly want already exists. This is your holy now. Take a moment to just revere this one holy now. And then just be in that place of great gratitude. And we say, Namaste, I greet the Christ in each one of you. And so it is. Amen.